Okay, so let's have a look at pull-offs. Pull-offs are the exact opposite of a hammer-on, and there's one or two little differences that you use when you actually execute or play these pull-offs, which I'll quickly discuss with you now. When I'm doing a hammer-on, I'm actually hammering on to a note. So that's how I sound the note. So it's really that hammering action. So that's how I produce my volume there. When I do a pull-off, if I don't do it properly, and I just lift my finger up, if I do the exact same motion as a hammer-on, but just in reverse, you can hear that my second note is a little weak sounding, okay? So I need to do something to kind of increase the volume there a little bit. Now what I do in this case is I pull down on the string just a little bit to just generate a little bit more volume. So it's almost like a flicking noise. If I turn my strings off, I don't know if you can hear that, but that's just, you actually hear that little bit of a flicking sound. So it's not exactly a hammer-on in reverse. You need to pull down the string a little bit so that when you release it, it's got a little bit more velocity and a little bit more, generating a little bit more volume there. So let me show you a pull-off again. If I pull off from a second fret to the open string, so don't bend it too much. Like that, that's going to sound wrong. You just want to flick the string down a little bit. So let me show you the two different ways of doing it. The wrong way is just taking your finger off the string. Like that. As you can hear, I don't have a lot of sound on my second note, but if I flick the string downward a little bit, I get a total different sound. So let me do that for you with the A minor pentatonic. The wrong way would be this. Okay, the right way. Okay, so you just want to generate that little bit of volume. So let's look at our first pull-off, which is pulling off to an open string from a fretted note, which is a second fret on the G string, pulling off to a G. Now what's happening with pull-offs, like this, because I have to flick the string down a little bit, there's a little bit more motion happening on my neck and so forth. So I need to, if I don't use the proper, I need to use muting technique, okay? If I don't use the proper muting technique, you see if I stop that string, you can hear I've got other strings sounding there. Let me do that again. You're there. There's other strings sounding, so I need to make sure I'm using the proper muting technique. We'll cover that in more detail, but just for now, your right hand can be resting on the idle bass strings to make sure they don't ring out, which is the string 6, 5, and 4, generally speaking. And then the left hand can be touching the higher strings, okay? So as I pull off, this finger is keeping the first and second strings from ringing out as well. Okay, so that's your first example. Let's look at an actual exercise where we can just repeat that particular motion a couple of times. It'll sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's just a little exercise you can do to get used to that motion.